Okay, so I have to go to the dentist's office because for a long time I was eating Reese cups and they were getting stuck in the back of my mouth and I actually rotted out my wisdom tooth, and it was so bad that the air was just exposing the nerve and it was just hitting it, and so I was just on the ground like writhing in pain, just beating it out of my guitar because I was just in pain. So I never got the cap put on. So I gotta get an X-ray and get that put on and put the wisdom tooth cap on it, and it was like $3,000 or $4,000. So I just got jackknifed for all that money. So I gotta pay all that. But because that was painful, that reminded me of an experience with me and Bobby Kennedy, and me and Bobby Kennedy were going to get some less than savory things. We were just, playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back in the day, chilling out, and we were like, you know what we should do? Let's go to apartment 420. That would be hilarious. Like, let's go down to those big apartments and go knock on apartment 420, which is crazy because I later in life lived, I think, like 421. I lived next to apartment 420, and me and apartment 420 were doing some apartment 420 stuff. So me and Bobby Kennedy were like, let's go walk down to apartment 420 and go knock on the door and see what's up. And so it was blazing hot outside. So we're walking down the street, we're just sweating, like, oh my God, we're so bored. What's going to happen, right? Well, we get down there and we start looking all around. We can't find it. Like, the apartments are so big. It's like 2,075, like 800. We're trying to go find the 400s. It takes us like forever. Like, we almost gave up, but eventually we found it. So we're like, whoa, apartment 420, no way. So me and Bobby Kennedy go up there and we start banging on the door, and this Jamaican guy answers the door, and we're like, no way. And he's like what you boys doing, and like just asking like what we're doing up there, and we're like, hey man, like we're looking for some Bobby Kennedy groceries basically. And so the dude's like, oh yeah, like I can help you, no problem. We're like, no way. So we go into his apartment, we're like chilling out, like relaxing and stuff, we listen to music, whatever. And then we're like, hey, like we just want to get like a little bit of stuff, a little bit of groceries for you, can you help us out? He's like, yeah, no problem, let's go to my homie's house. So we're like, okay, cool. So we get in the car, we have no idea who this guy is, you know what I mean? This is just some random dude we met, apartment 420. We get into his car, and he like shows us like this big gun, and we're like, whoa, like are you serious? Like this guy's got a major like weapon, and we're like, we don't need that, bro, like we don't need that. And he was like, no, it's cool, like I got you guys, like I'm gonna protect y'all, don't worry, like I'm gonna hook y'all up. We're like, no way, like are you serious? So we go down there, whatever. He goes in, he gets the groceries, and he comes out, and he gets in the car with us, and then he's like, hey, I want to go get some blunts and some cigarettes from the store. And we're like, oh, are you serious? Like, I guess, like I want to go home, but sure, like let's just stop, whatever. I kind of want to get a Gatorade. So we stop at the gas station, and we get like some chips or whatever. We get the Gatorade, he gets the cigarettes, and then we get back in the car, and now we're gonna get dropped off at the house, at Bobby Kennedy's house. So we're like, sweet, like let's go. So we get in the car and we start driving back, and as we're driving back, it's starting to get dark now, and it's like dusk outside, like it's like the lights are going down. And so we're driving down the street, and we're almost at the neighborhood where we live, and this cop shines a light like into the front windshield, and it like freaks the guy out, like not Bobby Kennedy but the apartment 420 guy freaks him out. So he like takes off, he just starts like driving like full speed, and we're like, no way, this guy hit the gas, and he's just going like full speed, like he takes the first corner and goes left, and I turn around and the cop's got his lights on, sure enough, like he's coming chasing us, and I'm like, no way. So he's coming after us, we're going, and he keeps making these turns, and the way the apartments were set up, it was like a very narrow street, and so there was a lot of like serpentining and turning, so he's just hitting all these corners and doing all this crazy stuff, and he's like almost losing the cop. And so he keeps going down this road. Eventually, on the left hand side, there's like a big hill. It's like it like leads up into the apartment complex. There's like a big grassy area. Well, I guess he loses control or whatever, and he spins out and he hits that hill. And when he does, he goes airborne and he flies up into the air. And so the car, like Bobby Kennedy's in the front, I'm in the back, and the guy's driving apartment 420. He crashes the car into the apartment complex, and so there's just like smoke coming out of the car. The car is all messed up, and so he has the gun still on him, and so the cops like caught up to us at that point, and they like pull up and they're like, hey, like stop, everybody get out. And we're just like, oh my goodness, like we're just sitting there like just wait, like what are we gonna do? I have no idea. Are we about to get like just like shells dumped into us? And so the guy, apartment 420, he starts running, and he has two guns. And so the cops are like brandishing their weapon, and I think that they're about to like empty shells into this guy, and he just throws the guns in front of him on the ground, and they like go out and they start like going out in front of him, and he starts running, but his pants are so saggy that he can't run. Like he can barely run. It's like really like slow or whatever. So the cops like catch him and they tackle him and take him down. And me and Bobby Kennedy were in the car still. And so the cops are like, nobody move, like, you know, they start interrogating us. They're like, what is going on? Like, explain the situation, basically. And we're just like, you're not going to believe this, but we went to apartment 420 to see what was going on. And he's like, you have got to be shitting me. And we're like, no, dude, really. Like, we wanted to go to apartment 420. And so he was looking at Bobby Kennedy, and Bobby Kennedy had been chewing some things up in his mouth. And so when the cop looked in Bobby Kennedy's mouth, he was like, oh, hell no, like, this don't look right. So he started asking Bobby Kennedy some questions, some less than savory things came up, and Bobby Kennedy had ended up having to go to a lockup with apartment 420. So I was able to be let go. I was blessed. Solo Dolo had to walk home, and that was crazy. I went home and ate like so much food and passed out. But anyways, Bobby Kennedy went to lockup with the apartment 420 guy. Well, it turns out the apartment 420 guy was here illegally. He was like from Jamaica or something. He wasn't even supposed to be here. So basically, when he's in there, they are going to deport him. They're going to like send him to like the firing wall essentially, because he wasn't even supposed to be here. And then the guns that he had, they were fake. They weren't even real guns. They were like just bogus guns. There's no ammo, no nothing. So it was all just some bogus stuff. Like it was like some Jim Carrey, Truman. It was like Truman vibes, Truman activity. So so they deported him, and then Bobby Kennedy ended up getting released because the guy vouched for the story or whatever. He was like, yeah, he had nothing to do with it. They just came over to my apartment. Like, I'm crazy. I'm going back to Jamaica. So, I mean, that was the story, man. That's how we just went up to apartment 420 and just tried to make something pop. So, sometimes in life, you know, you got to make your own decisions, and you got to go experiment and see what comes of it. Because you never know. You never know what's possible if you put your mind to the grind. If you put your mind to the grind, you can realize in time everything that you need, and it's really that simple.
Wow.
So that was pretty much what happened. That was pretty much that story. And those apartments were really crazy. There was so much crazy stuff that happened in those apartments right by my house. And
wow.
That's true. You know what I mean? Like, when you grow up in a suburb, if there's ever apartments, like really like huge apartments, and they got big tall grass next to your house, there's always crazy stuff going down in those apartments. But yeah, those are stories for another time. I just wanted to drop that on you guys. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And nothing hurt.